everyone, and welcome to the harnessracing.com preview show as we highlight and deep dive into the 2025 Breeders' Crown Finals that are set to take place at Woodbine Mohawk Park this upcoming Friday and Saturday. I'm your host, Wendy Ross, and I'm joined via Zoom by Canadian racing analyst John Rallis. John, so nice to have you with us. Everything's getting pretty exciting up there in Canada.
Yeah, it really is, Wendy, and thanks for having me as well. And obviously, we're so excited to be hosting the Breeders' Crown. I got a chance to work the Eliminations last year at the Meadowlands. Now to be able to host my first ever Breeders' Crown, it's kind of surreal, a great opportunity, but one that I'm really looking forward to as well. We're going to have some great racing this weekend.
John, you've been on fire, and we've become such a regular face throughout the sport, especially up there in Canada at Woodbine Mohawk. So nice to have you with us, and what a great weekend of racing we have to look forward to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if the Eliminations were any indication, we're going to have such a great Breeders' Crown final over the course of the next 2 nights. Just 4 on Friday, but we've got 8 on Saturday. But again, it's going to be amazing.
Now, John, we were so excited and had you on the desk. Of course, they're on last weekend, of course, on Saturday. And they had Mark McKelvey doing the post-race interview duties down there on the track. Now, did that have anything to do with, now I'm not going to bring up a sore subject here, but we know you took a little bit of a spill out there on the track this past couple months. Tell us a little bit about what happened. Hey, we're just glad you're okay.
Yeah, the conspiracy theorist inside of me thinks that Jody might have set me up there. You know, obviously, I think put me in a position to fail there. No, I'm just kidding. You know what? He's always been telling me to get on the side of the bike and interview him as he's going back to post-parade because Jody doesn't really want to go slow and slow the horse down. I said, you know what, let me give it a shot. And I took a tumble. So it was one of those viral moments for me, but I had a lot of fun laughing about it. I did get contacted by Human Resources, though, and saying, all right, workplace safety, no more sitting on bikes for the time being. So I have to oblige.
And I remember we were in Lexington there a couple weeks ago. Remember I tried to show you 1-2 jump, but that's okay. And like I said, we're just glad. But hey, we were so glad to have you with us on the desk. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the Breeders' Crown. It's an annual event put on by the Hambletonian Society. As we know, they do so many great things. The horses are paid into the event, or you can supplement. One horse did supplement this year. Each year, a different track hosts the event. And we were with you up there at Woodbine Mohawk in 2022. And we're so glad to be back with you here in 2025, as they always do such a nice job. But hey, it's a lot of work to put it on.
It really is a lot of work. I'm sure, you know, for me, it's just simply showing up, being prepared, and having to do whatever is needed of me over the course of the next couple of nights. But I can't even imagine what takes place behind the scenes, Wendy. I mean, there's a lot of work going into it, from the wagering department to obviously, you know, everybody involved upstairs, the broadcasting team behind the scenes. You know, it's obviously a lot of work, but, you know, we're looking to put on a pretty big show as well.
And as we say throughout the season, it all comes down to the crown, because after this, it's all talk about the divisional year-end honors.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got these Breeders' Crowns are going to decide some of those divisions. I think some of them are already wrapped up, but we always know that this weekend is pivotal in terms of deciding who's going to take home divisional honors. And there's a lot more at stake than just winning that final.
John, before we look ahead, let's talk about some of those eliminations quickly, you know, that you had there last week. I think those eliminations are setting up for some of the best racing that we're going to see this year coming up this weekend.
Oh, big time. And I think we saw, like, obviously Luprint getting beat, right, narrowly last time out. You know, obviously him drawing the 8-hole now, it's going to change the complexion of the race. And there's some other horses and some other eliminations that I thought raced really, really well leading up to this final. So we're setting up for some really good matchups, right? We'll touch on it momentarily, but as well as Bojangles, Brandon Boulevard. Those are 2 colts that are going to be looking to go head-to-head as Bojangles looks to keep his perfect streak intact. So you look at the complexion of how some of these post positions unfolded and how some of these divisions unfolded. It's going to be uber competitive.
Yeah, and to agree with you there, I think it's what we get to see, some of the matchups, these rivalries that are developed throughout the season. You finally get to see them go head-to-head here. And also these colts and these fillies in their divisions, you get to see who rises to the top and who is the best of the best. Now, after last week, who are you really looking forward to seeing race this weekend?
I really am looking forward to. I mean, I might be biased, but I'm looking forward to watching Bojangles compete this weekend. Again, he's a perfect 11 for 11. He's really taken the, you know, provincially, he's taken the division by storm. But I think he's really put a lot of people across North America on notice, especially after his Metro victory. So not ideal for him to have 12 starts, especially, I mean, Doc's touched on it. He wanted about 10 for this guy, but with the way he's been racing, how do you not keep going? In terms of that specific course, that's one I'm looking forward to. In terms of divisions, though, I'm really looking forward to that open pace, though, Wendy. I mean, that aged pacing group is wicked good.
Most impressive horses for me, I think, of throughout the season, but are really getting sharp at the right time. Delaney Hanover with that strong close last week. Bojangles, of course, is the 2-year-old taking everyone by storm. Yo Tilly, we didn't get to see her in Lexington, but we get to see her here for the Breeders' Crown. Lua Deepa, and for me, Diabolic Hill. That 2-year-old trotter for Andy Stobie, he looks like a good horse. Looks like he's been doing it for a lot longer than he has. And like I said, all these are just getting sharp at the right time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you just mentioned a bunch of names. Lua Deepa, for me, my favorite horse that I've watched all season long. I think she's the best 2-year-old in the sport in either division. So looking forward to watching her again. She does it so easily. And you mentioned Diabolic Hill, and we'll touch on it obviously momentarily, but his maturation in such a short period of time, I think has really impressed me.
Well, without further ado, let's get right into it. The action starts on Friday night, races 6 through 9. In race 6, we take a look at the 2-year-old trotting fillies led by Melander trainees Nezuko Komodo S and Laney W. Both heading into this final, I think it could be wide open. For me, I do like Nezuko Komodo for me.
Yeah, it's tough not to like the starter of Chapter 7, right, Wendy? I mean, how good has she been, and how sharp was she in that elimination? I mean, I wasn't sure where she was going to get away from the inside. I was talking with Randy about it on air. She's not a filly that can like maybe snap off the car. She's had braking issues, and it's really tough to kind of get yourself in a good position from the inside, especially with a lot of speed to her outside. Clearly, it didn't matter. She had the pace scenario set up for her, and you could see the body language on Scott in this filly. I mean, she was doing some trotting late. Nylander added the trotting hopples a few starts ago. We saw that with another rookie of his as well in Spencer Hanover. It seemed to have worked wonders for this filly, and right now she's the sharpest one coming into this elimination without a doubt.
And still something to keep in mind, though, we're still dealing with 2-year-old trotters. So, you don't have to narrow it down to just one. And I think other than those two, it still is kind of a wide open group. Sticking with the fillies and turning to the pacing side, highlighted by the Burke dominator Lua Deepa, as we said, with Ronnie Wren aboard. I think she's just one of the 4 entrants in here for Burke. She is the one to beat. And I think if you can make a case in here who can beat her, it's going to have to be a good one.
Yeah, and I don't think you can make the case for who can beat her. I really think that she's probably the most dominant and maybe the biggest lock of the week in terms of all the eliminations. I know Randy and I discussed it on a preview show on Monday. He figured Bojangles was a lock. I figured Lua Deepa. I mean, I don't see anybody in this field who has a chance of beating her. I think you've got to look for a value player underneath as an exactor, or just maybe play this exactor cold. I look to On Air. I think this Noel Daly trained filly has raced really, really well all season long. She's got the speed to follow suit, and I thought that was a sneaky good elimination performance as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Lua Deepa hands down for me. And it might be just one of those things, weather pending, of course. I know it's supposed to be cold up there. What's that timer going to say when it comes to her? Switching to the boys, we look at a talented group of 2-year-old trotting colts, the 2 elimination winners, Spencer Hanover and Diabolic Hill, with the 2 and the 3 in here. And as I said earlier, it was Diabolic Hill who was so impressive for me last week. And I think, he's another one. Diabolic Hill looks like an age trotter, much the best here for me.
Yeah, for me, I mean, you see 2 colts who have been competing earlier on in their careers, right? Apex as well as Diabolic Hill, and those 2 were competing in some New Jersey Sire Stakes action, Wendy. And look at them at the end of the season; they're right now the top 2 colts going into this final. I mentioned it a little earlier on this show. I mean, the maturation process for Diabolic Hill has been incredible for me in such a short period of time. Earlier on this season, the speed was always there. Andy got a chance to sit behind him in those early tries, and he mentioned that he quoted by saying he's a naughty boy because he wants to go so fast, and he didn't know how to ration out his speed a little bit, but the talent was always there. Now, he had a little bit of a lull period there, right, leading up to that Mohawk Million. He made a couple of miscues. He was a little bit fumbly gated in the lane. Annie Stobie did change the shoes. She went from aluminum to steel leading up to that Mohawk Million, and he never saw a set of pylons. He was moving forward at the wire. That was a super impressive performance. The focus was on Apex, but Diabolic Hill was sensational in that outing, and he followed it up with the comfortable elimination score. So I think he's coming into this Breeders' Crown final sharp at just the right time.
Last for the 2-year-olds is the pacing colts, and what a group it is. John Bojangles and Brandon Hanover, the elim winners in here. Bojangles is a colt that is, I think if you ask him, it looks like he just responds there for Bob McClure. 11 for 11 coming into this weekend. But this is a tough group. And what about Brandon Boulevard? He's just so tough, and he just keeps closing, keeps coming. That horse loves to have a target. But, you can't forget Al Poppy for Burke. I think this is set up to be a good one.
It really is set up to be a good one. And I tell you what, all eyes are going to be on Bojangles. And being at the live draw last night, Burke was speaking about his, rookie pacing colts. And he acknowledged, look, like I've got a really good group, but I don't know if they're good enough to beat Bojangles. I mean, Burke just always shoots it straight. And he knows that the Docs colt is clearly the one to beat here in this spot. But the way the draw shakes out is the most interesting to me, though, Wendy, right? You have Bojangles from pole 6. You've got a trio of Burke trainees lining up 3, 4, and 5, and you've got Brandon Boulevard, who's coming off a sharp elimination score in 148-4. So the way this race is going to shape out is pretty incredible. I know Bobby's got a great draw to work with, but with all that speed and all those colts to your inside, it's really going to make for some, obviously curious to see the game plan off the gate from some of these drivers. But Brandon Boulevard, if he gets a trip, he merits a lot of respect in there. But you're going to have to get to Bojangles. We've never really seen anybody look Bojangles in the eye, right? When they have tried, he's paced away from them in the Metro final. Frantic Hanover got a clean shot late in the mile, and he couldn't even look him in the eye. He could barely get to his wheel just before the wire. So I think this is going to be a really good final. And to Andrew's credit, Brandon Boulevard, he stayed in Kentucky all season long. He barely shipped. He's fresh coming into this elimination. We've got a colt here locally who's never left Ontario and Bojangles. So those are clearly the ones to beat, but this is a tougher group that Bojangles took on in the Metro.
And I agree. And what a very talented group of 2-year-old colts we're seeing this season. So Bojangles, though, seeing him in that elimination, just to add to what you said, when they got close to him, it's like he just hit another gear and you just don't know how fast he's going to go. Just a colt that likes to do his work. It's Team Moore and Bojangles for me for the 2-year-old pacing colts. We're going to take a short break, John, and stay with us as we come back. We're going to head into Saturday night with the rest of the Breeders' Crown Finals.
The 2024 Harrisburg mixed sales shattered records with over $31 million in gross sales and a new all-time average of nearly $53,000. Broodmares, racehorses, weanlings, yearlings, and stallion shares were all part of the historic two-day auction. Be sure to check out theblackbook.com to view all the entries for the 2025 Standardbred Yearling and Mixed Sale in Harrisburg, November 3rd through the 7th.
Ever dream of owning your own racehorse? How would you like to get in the winner's circle with the #1 harness racing partnership in the U.S., VIP Stable? There's nothing like the thrill of your horse coming down the stretch. To find out more, call VIP Stable at 877-VIP-WIN-1 or visit us on the web at www.vipstable.com. Turning horse racing fans into racehorse owners. Be a winner.
Winback Farm of Ontario is home to outstanding sires, including three-time millionaire pacer tattoo artist who is new in 2025, the last great son of the legendary Sub Beach Somewhere and multiple stakes champion Beachglass, Meadowlands Pace and Ontario Sire Stakes champion Lawless Shadow, and the richest pacing stallion in all of harness racing history, the great Hall of Famer Mick Wicked. Also standing at Winback Farm, Archangel, Better Than Cheddar, Betting Line, My MVP, and Trixton. For more information, visit winbackfarm.com.
The Standardbred Transition Alliance was created in 2019 to inspect, accredit, and award grants to approved organizations that acquire, rehabilitate, train, and rehome Standardbred horses. Since 2020, the STA has issued over $725,000 to accredited programs. Today, STA-accredited aftercare organizations are providing placement opportunities and safety net services to thousands of Standardbreds and their adopters. Want to help? Visit standardbredtransition.org to donate today.
The HarnessRacing.com preview show is sponsored by the Standardbred Horse Sales Company. The Harrisburg sale from the Standardbred Horse Sales Company is coming your way November 3rd through the 7th. Be sure to check out theblackbook.com to view all the entries for the 2025 Standardbred Yearling and Mixed Sale. And by Winback Farm. Be sure to check out Winback Farm's 2025 Yearling lineup at winbackfarm.com. And by VIP Stable. VIP Stable has been turning horse racing fans into racehorse owners since 1999. And now it's your turn. Join VIP and experience the thrill of harness racing ownership. For more information, visit www.vipstable.com.
And we are back. Wendy Ross joined by Canadian racing analyst John Rallis for the HarnessRacing.com preview show. We're glad to have you with us. Let's keep it rolling, John, as we head into Saturday night card that features the 8 remaining Breeders' Crown Finals, kicking it off in race 2 with some of the finest trotting mares that we will see. This bunch has gone back and fourth all season. It seems hard to pick a big favorite in here. What about Luke Blay? Sends 2 in from post 3 and post 1 and from the rail in here, both coming off fresh, really good qualifiers. With Luke up there, you always think that he might have some home field advantage as they're usually on the road for him here in the U.S. But what about Team Sponset? Also goes really deep in here, but just a wide open group of mares that you got to love to watch.
It really is a wide open group of mares, Wendy. And I think the biggest thing is you've got to watch how the shoeing is going to shake out, right? I mean, a lot of these mares, when they go barefoot, they find a little bit extra. We've seen it with MM's Dream, one that we never even mentioned. And I think it speaks volumes of what you said of the depth of this field. Look, Warwie Michelle merits a lot of respect here as well. And Oka Sponsted's having a couple other mares here in Call Me Goo and Nelson Bright Eagle. So really good group going postward. And yeah, I think that Luke Blay, obviously you got to love that you've got the Breeders' Crown in your backyard, but this is a really wide open group of trotting mares. And, draw an impression, I think she's the one who has a better chance of the two, but still winless in 10 tries this year. She's been a little bit unlucky. I don't know if she's as sharp as some of these other ones, right? I mean, Date Night Hanover, one who was sharp in Lexington, but at least the Hanover, I mean, she's one who has been really sharp all season long. She's had some tough trips over the small tracks. Just curious to see how she's going to, from a mannerism standpoint, how she's going to be. She's looked a little bit grabby for driver Dave Miller. If he can keep her a little bit more tame, or if she can maybe keep her a little bit more tame. I think she's had a little bit of her own mind over the last few starts, but undeniably so, the talent is there with that Daughter of International Money.
And adding back to the Luke Blay mares in there with Drawn Impression and Emoji Hanover, having some bad luck, as you say, but they draw good. They're at home. 2 big things, so don't overlook those 2 in there. But hey, it's going to be a list of Hanover for me for post 7. I just love this big red mare, and Annie Stobie has just been having such a great run, and we're cheering for her. From open mare trotters to open mare pacers in race 3, John, all eyes on the one and only Twin B Joe Fresh. And we got to see Twin B Joe Fresh and Sylvia Hanover kind of have a 3-horse match race of a sort down there in Kentucky. Twin B Joe Fresh was the winner there, and I didn't love what I saw out of Sylvia Hanover last week, but draws better. And she's another one that gets to be on her home track here, but it's all Twin B Joe Fresh for me.
It's hard to go against Twin B Joe Fresh, especially considering what we've seen, not only from their last couple of matchups, but as you mentioned, what we saw from Sylvia Hanover here in Ontario last time out in an overnight race, right? Twin B Joe Fresh, she had a qualifying prep leading up to that final. And Sylvia Hanover, I mean, not the effort you want to see leading up to the final. Clearly something had to have gone amiss because that's not the mare we're accustomed to seeing. But as of late, it's been, Twin B Joe Fresh has had the upper hand. And for me, the way she's racing, it's just tough to go against her.
Now we move on to the 3-year-olds, and we start with the trotting fillies in race 4. Yo Tilly dominant in her elimination, as well as that track record performance put on by that wicked close by Delaney Hanover, fresh off her Kentucky Filly Futurity win. But who else do you like in here?
I think that Stormont Beautiful, look, she was the supplement, right? You mentioned there was one lone supplement, and this is a filly who did supplement to the Breeders' Crown. And you know what? She did not embarrass herself whatsoever. She was a really, really strong second to Yo Tilly in her elimination. You could see Bobby wrap her up halfway down the lane, and it wasn't because he just knew that he had second in the bag. That filly started to trot so quickly, he almost lost her. I mean, that's a tendency of hers all throughout this season. She can really, really do some trotting late in the mile, and that's what she started to do. She was going to make it close against Yo Tilly, but you could see she went so quickly that she started to put in a couple of steps. Bobby grabbed her up. He wasn't taking any chances, right? I mean, they pay the supplement. The last thing you want is a filly breaking and not risking not making the final in that spot. So tough that she drew post state, but I tell you what, she's got sneaky good gate speed when she wants to use it. And for all that money going on Saturday night, why not use some of that and try and work out a pretty good trip?
For me, I'm going to give the nod to Delaney Hanover in here. But one thing about Delaney Hanover, when she's 100%, you're going to get the best Delaney Hanover we see. But you got Yo Tilly, who's going to be right there, who's just a filly that always brings 125%. So we're going to have to make sure we see Delaney Hanover at her best to take on Yo Tilly. But I've been waiting to see these 2 fillies go at it all year. But I'm going to give the nod to Delaney Hanover. And here now to the 3-year-old pacing fillies, Mickey and Minnie. The filly to beat all year. It seems the winner in that elimination of sorts last week for Dunn and Ryder. The draws in here, I think, help some fillies, but they also hurt a couple as well.
They really do, and specifically being Chantilly, right? Drawing post 10, as well as Rodeo Drive Dale, who's going to draw the outside here in this spot. So those 2 fillies draw the outside. But Mickey and Minnie, I mean, she has the edge, right? The way she's racing all season long, the draw that she gets to work with. So Dexter's got plenty of options in terms of how he wants to maneuver from the middle of the gate. I'm not sure what to even make of, Chantilly going to the spot as well, because she hasn't looked like herself over the last couple of tries. I know things have been a little bit challenging for this local filly, but she worked out a nice trip by James McDonald. I think a trip that she definitely needed. And I was waiting for her to kind of tear off cover and show some strong pace late in the mile. She didn't look like herself. The filly to her inside, though, Rodeo Drive Day, I think she really needed that bye, right? Those are some tough efforts coming into this Breeders' Crown, and she was racing obviously in the Jugette. She raced over at Northfield as well. Again, tough trips, tough tries, and even that Lexington and the Guernsey, it wasn't an easy trip, and you could see with the way she finished up. So Mickey and Minnie's going to be the one to beat, but I wouldn't rule out Unreasonable. I think the Serve Miller filly, she's sharp at the right time as well.
And when we see in these finals, sometimes it comes down to, you don't always, I think it is going to be a favorites type of weekend this weekend, but nothing to say that Mickey and Minnie can't get beat. Is it going to be this weekend? Not for me, that's for sure. Following this group is a 3-year-old Colt Trotters. This group has been so wild and so fun this season to cover. There were no eliminations needed. The draw came out last night. Marcus Melander had to be pleased as he draws the rail through post 3 in here. But Emoticon Legacy right beside him there also draws well with post 4, John. He's at home here for Luke Blay. Do they take the futurity and the Breeders' Crown as well for those determination connections? I think is going to be the question. Or is there another avenue that you could take in here?
I think you could take, there's plenty of value here in this race, right? Again, Maryland, I thought raced super in Lexington, went barefoot in that try. He had the second tier, worked out a pretty good trip. Look, he missed by a neck, right? I know he had the panel set up for him, but he raced really well. Would be fitting if he was able to pick up a big win, right? In a Breeders' Crown final. He hasn't picked up a win all season long, but he's raced really, really well despite that. But it is going to be tough to beat a Emoticon Legacy. I mean, this guy really, he's bred to be a star, and he's really piecing it all together here at the right time. And the Luke Blay way, we mention it all the time. He qualifies second, beating 8 lengths and 54 and change. Put no stock in the time. That's the way Luke likes to do things. Cover them up on a helmet. Keep them brave. Time does not matter in qualifiers. You don't pick up any money in qualifiers. They'll be ready to drop a few seconds when need be when they're ready to race. And we've seen that all throughout Luke Blay's career. So Emoticon Legacy's got a good draw to work with. He's got his home backyard that he's going to look to capture a Breeders' Crown. And again, he's clearly the one to beat. And right now he's the standout in the division.
I've been on Team Maryland all year, and I'm going to opt off here. But I've also loved Emoticon Legacy, and I'm going to stick with him here for this final on Saturday. But like you said, Maryland was right there. He's been right there. Completely overdue for a colt that was ready to have a really big year. So don't overlook any of them. And of course, the other Melander entrants as well. From 3-year-olds now to the open trotters, led by elimination winner Lexus Cody, who was just giant last week and has been putting on, I think, a big show all year. He's just a big, strong colt. But this is a deep group here. So, I know we love him, and from post 5, there's going to make him a big factor. But if you had to go another route, where do you think you could go? There's a ton of options in here with a great group of horses.
You know what? I didn't mind. I liked Up Your Dale last time out, and he just didn't seem to have it. I'm not sure maybe if he maybe just needed an extra start, but you have to figure he's going to go barefoot. He's kind of one that I'm a little bit intrigued with, but I tell you what, obviously Lexus Cody's going to be tough to beat here in this spot. He's got a great draw to work with. I really liked that effort from Logan Park last time out. I thought that was a really, really good effort. Finished up really well. Plug still in. Wish he drew a little bit better, but I think this is a horse who, if he works out a pretty good trip, I think he's one that merits a lot of respect. So I wouldn't rule him out if he works out a trip. He's a bit of a sleeper coming in.
For me, I'm going to stick with Lexus Cody in here. It's just hard to go against him here, especially off that effort last week. I think he's just too sharp and the one to beat for me. Now time to get to the Glamour division. The 3-year-old Pacing Colts is such a nice group. Another one that we've got to follow throughout the season. Prince Al Hanover said it was great to be home last week, John. Took advantage of being there and getting things his way there for Todd McCarthy. But what about Dandy Ideal holding off a fast-closing Lou Print? This week, Lou Print hindered with post 8, I think is going to be the big conversation. Now, I know trainer Ron Burke said that doesn't matter. We're going to be all systems a go, and they're going to be looking to take home the second Breeders' Crown as he did as a 2-year-old last year, and Lou Print looks to go back-to-back. Or does someone else take it home? Does it go to the Canadian connections of Prince Al Hanover? It's a wide open group, but these two colts are certainly ones to look at.
This is a really good group, but again, they've all been racing in the shadow of obviously Lou Print, right? And I think Prince Al Hanover is taking opportunity or advantage in some of those events when he's been away. But look, Dandy Ideal, that was a great drive by Jason Bartlett and a great effort by that Hunter Oaks trainee. And he's raced tough. I mean, even in the NA Cup, that was a tough trip that he worked out in that NA Cup. He had a license to tire and what was a memorable one this year. But I'm going back to Luprin in this spot again. He was a colt who didn't work out the best of trips last time out. Look, Randy and I didn't think he looked like he had the same pep in post parade, right? I mean, we watched this colt go all year, and obviously maybe it was just one of those days where he didn't look as peppy, didn't look as comfortable, but to be honest, he raced really, really well. It just the trip scenario never worked out for him. So kudos to Jason Bartlett, who worked out a really, really good trip. But for me, it's like last year. Luprin fails in the Breeders' Crown elimination, draws outside, gets it done in the final. I'm expecting him to bring his A game on Saturday night, and I'm going to, pick him to rebound in a big way.
And here, adding to what you're saying about Luprin, I agree with you there. Watching him in his elimination last week, it looked like he didn't really have a ton of pace coming off the last turn. We're a little gapped out. But as I said, and I said to others, I love seeing the close, though. It's like once he got in gear and once he got in the straightaway, he was fine and really kicked into another gear. And he was closing. So I did like to see that. And, we'll have to see. Post 8 is, it's a big hindrance, but not one that he can't overcome as well. But it's going to be Prince Hal Hanover for me. And that's, I'm usually Team USA. No offense there, John, but I just love Prince Hal. And I think Doc Moore having him up there at home is going to be a big factor. Moving on to the open pace, the race you said that you're looking really forward to. Of course, we have Ken Hanover and Irvin Hanover were the elimination winners, both impressive. And both have had solid seasons all throughout the year. But I'm also rooting for my favorite, Captain Albano. I just love this horse. It's just always so fun to watch. But and you can't forget Nijinsky, the Canadian horse up there from Post 8. Big effort to only be beat a neck last week.
This division is going to have fireworks, I think, in this race, right? Because I think there are several in here that really believe that they have a chance to win. And the way the post positions kind of shook out, we're going to see a lot of speed, especially speed early, right? Look, Coach's Corner left from post 9, Wendy. We never mentioned him. He raced really well, and I think he's one that's going to be discounted a little bit. He's got post 6. You think Jason Bartlett's going to take back in that spot, and you see Irvin Hanover draw post 5. Captain Albano draws post 3, Ken Hanover post 2, and then you have Maximus Mickey and Nijinsky drawing post 7 and 8. So those are a lot of horses that, have a tendency to show some early speed, and you have to figure a lot of them are going to want to get involved early on in the mile. But you mentioned Captain Albano. He's my favorite horse, in racing, and him and Lua Deep. I love watching those two compete, but I've always loved watching Captain Albano compete. And he's really taken a big step up against H Company, right? I mean, I know that the styling career didn't work out. It kind of had to be put on hold momentarily, but he's come back here as a 4-year-old and he's taken on tougher company. It's tough to make that transition, and he's made it look, as of late, seamless. It just took him a few starts to really get going into gear, but I mentioned all the speed in this race, and while the focus is going to be on Irvin Hanover, Nijinsky, Ken Hanover, and Captain Albano and so forth, I still think Oakwood Arden can pick up a really big piece. And I hate that he drew post 9, but if they mix it up in a big way, you cannot discount this guy because I think he can pick up the pieces in a big way, especially if there's going to be speed to chase.
And I agree with you here. And that's kind of what everything you just said says, that it's just such a wide open group. For me, I'm going to stick with Captain Albano. I think he's due to pick up another big win in here. And I think he's waiting. Noel Daly will have him just ready, just in time to take home that crown on Saturday. Now, speaking of the speed and the variances up there at Woodbine, Mohawk, John, just touch quickly on how you think you feel like these races could set up. It's going to be a little bit colder weather up there. Now, do you think if it's a lot of front end speed, when it's cold like that, a little bit of wind maybe, how do you think these races could set up, and how much do you think the weather plays a factor in this?
I don't think, I don't think there's going to be too much of a bias. I think we're going to see action like we do in most Breeders' Crown. I don't think we'll see a bias, but I think that we're going to see a night where if the favorites do get the job done and they happen to be on the front end, they're going to have to earn it. So I don't think there's going to be a bias per se, but it will be a little bit chilly. It's obviously late October. It's going to be dry, but I still think we're going to see some really quick miles, even if it is a little bit chilly.
Well, you just made me really happy to say it's going to be dry because I've been up there and it's always cold. I'm prepping for cold, but at least we know there's not going to be any rain. So my day is made. Thank you. Well, that's it for the Breeders' Crown Finals talk in here. I think we have 2 really great nights of racing coming your way up there on Friday and Saturday. But I think the question is, we've touched throughout the preview here, is do you think it's going to be a heavy favorites type of night, or are we going to see some of these long shots get up and make some upsets?
I do think I'm in agreement with you though, Wendy, right? I mean, I'm looking at the landscape of some of these divisions and it looks like it is going to be pretty formful. And I think that's just by virtue of some horses peaking at the right time. And I think some horses maybe just kind of stamping themselves as the clear dominant ones in the division, right? So I do think it's going to be pretty formful. Again, these are usually a weekend that has some value, but look, if they mix it up, horses can pick up the pieces in some of these divisions, but I just don't know how some of these other horses are going to be able to beat some of these clear standouts.
John, now we know we love watching the horses, but it's all about some handicapping angles as well. Tell us what you guys have in store for us up there for the weekend.
Yeah, we've always got pick fives always on tap. I know we have 3 pick fives because we've got 12 and 13 races over the course of the Friday and Saturday night, but we do have a pick 6 wager that is going to be a mandatory payout on the Saturday. Now, if by any chance on Friday night it does carry over, that's going to create a big opportunity on the Saturday night. Anytime they've made a guaranteed or a mandatory pick 6 payout on some of these big stakes nights, we've gotten a really good pool. I think Metro night we had a pool of 50,000 Canadian. So that was a really good showing. So clearly the mandatory pick 6 payout has really piqued people's interest, but they're going to have an all stakes pick 5 as well. They've got an early pick 5. So I believe the all stakes pick 5, which will be races 6 through 10, that middle pick 5, I do think it's going to be, pretty sure it's going to be guaranteed at $100,000. So again, it's going to be a heavy pool, especially with those Breeders' Crown limbs slotted right in between there.
Now, of course, we hope everyone comes out to Woodbine Mohawk Park to be there live. They put on such a nice show there and so many great events going on live there on track. So if you can make it there, get there. But also there's a numerous race to watch. Of course, you can watch it via simulcast. John and the crew up there, they do such a nice job. So tune in there. You can also watch it on FS2 Friday night from 8 to 11 p.m. and Saturday night from 7:30 to 11. That Jess Cotton and then her team will be on the FS2 broadcast. So we'll always look forward to seeing that. So many ways to watch some great racing this weekend. John, we always thank you for your time. We know you're busy, and we're so glad to be able to catch up with you. What will your duties be exactly this weekend?
Be doing a little bit of everything, Wendy. I'll be on set, so I'll be hosting with Randy, and I will have to go to the winner's circle to do some post-race interviews for the winning connections in terms of winning trainers as well as winning owners. Obviously, look, this is a big weekend for so many people involved. Owners obviously kind of, dream about capturing a Breeders' Crown. So, and trainers and drivers. So for them, a big moment to kind of capture how they feel. And we're wishing everybody the best of luck. But also, I'll also be doing some paddock interviews as well. So I'll be doing a little bit of everything. I'm going to get my steps in without a doubt.
Well, John, you do such a great job. And like I said, thank you so much for your time. As far as us here at US Trotting, you can catch all of our pre-race and post-race action on all of our US Trotting and harnessracing.com platforms. Well, thank you so much for being with us. We hope you'd enjoy the show, and we hope you enjoy a great weekend of racing coming your way.